Well, hello there, and welcome to the first episode of the NX500 build series. I've noticed that the NX500 is lacking in some protection areas that are pretty key on trying to take this kind of bike in some rougher terrain. So let's look at those problem areas that I have identified and try to fix those with some particular products that I've bought online. So welcome aboard. Let's make this NX500 adventure ready. First is the shock protection. Pretty much everything from the back tire is going to be thrown directly into the shock tube, and that's not good. Second issue is definitely these very exposed header pipes on this bike. They go right next to the front tire and go underneath the bike. Radiator is also completely unprotected, and the design of the front mudguards means that absolutely everything from the front tire is thrown directly to these radiator blades. They already have some marks with just a few rides. These LED units are so freakishly expensive that you have to have something protecting it on group rides. I tend to have rocks thrown at me very often when I ride with these crazy KTM dudes. Ah, shit. Last but not least is to address these exposed engine sides, especially on the right side of the bike. We need something rugged enough to keep these aluminium covers healthy, even in the roughest of rides. I decided to go with a very traditional cage for the headlight unit. What comes to protection, it's not perfect, but it's gonna be deflecting some of the biggest rocks that you're gonna get thrown at you. Next, a very simple radiator guard from AliExpress. Should be good enough to keep those blades healthy and straight, and radiators are not cheap, so doing off-road this is kind of a must-have. And when we get the rally raid suspension setup installed, we kind of have to protect that expensive rear shock as well. This should keep some of the biggest rocks out of the shock tube and keep it looking nice and working for a long time. Alright, now that we got the basics out of the way, we can move to the We can save a few grams by removing the stock protection on the header pipe. These lower crash bars will protect that engine side very nicely. What I like about the Outback Motortek skid plate is that it gives almost a full protection to those header pipes. The engine side is not completely covered, but this lower crash bar is definitely going to give it some support if you fall down. What's nice about this Outback Motortek set is that you can basically pick and choose if you wanna even use the upper crash bars on the bike. If you only install the lower crash bars and the skid plate, you're only going to add a little bit less than 4 kilos on the bike. If you wanna use the upper crash bars as well, you're gonna add in total about 8 kilograms. This upper crash bar is definitely going to protect those plastics way better than not running them at all. Alright, so this is actually how it would look if I were to put the full protection on this bike. But I am actually going to be a little bit cheeky and try to keep the bike's weight as low as possible by removing these upper crash bars. I'm only gonna keep the essential protection to the lower part of the bike, but I might put these back on if I'm gonna do something crazy and do a little bit more gnarly tracks at some point. But at this point, I'm just thinking that I'm gonna leave these off, the upper protection, because it's gonna add weight, about 4 kilos or something, and it's gonna be in my way when I install some of the electronics that we're gonna do in the later episodes. So for now, I will actually take this off, like so. I only put it in here with zip ties, just so you can see what it would look like, but I'm gonna leave the bike like this because now I'm only adding a little bit less than 4 kilos to the lower portion of the bike right here, where it's absolutely necessary to protect these headers and protect these side covers of the engine. I'm actually going to leave the bike just like this, so only wearing the lower crash protection just to keep the bike project light and especially keep it more easy to make future installs that I'm gonna do then in the next episodes. I can take these plastics off the bike much easier without this being in place. So let's keep the bike as it is right now without the upper protection. But if I'm gonna do something a bit more gnarly in the future, like take on a few KTM riders with this Honda, I'm gonna probably put these back on, but we'll see. If the bike is protected enough with the handguards that I'm gonna be putting on in the later episode, maybe I won't even need these crash bars on the bike at all. But I like the design that you can pick and choose if you wanna wear the upper protection or if you just wanna keep the bike super light with this lower bash plate and engine guard setup. So this is how I want to keep the bike as of now, but when we go to summer I might put these upper crash bars back in place. With the lower protections only, we are only gaining about 4 kilos on this episode. So in future episodes on this build series we will also lose some weight here and there, so subscribe to see the future episodes. And put your comments below what you think about these protections that I did today. Only thing we are missing still is the upper protection here on the handguards, but we will do that later because I have so much coming to the top of the bike. I'm gonna do all of that in one episode. So that's gonna come later.